Hey guys, welcome back to an all new episode of A Pro Wrestling Podcast with Matt and Friends. I am your host, Matt Kozakowski, and alongside me today is one of my personal favorites of all time, JT Dunn. JT, what's up, man?
How we doing, man? I appreciate you having me on today.
Absolutely, absolutely. First things first, man. I seen that you just posted online that you got a promotion. Congrats on that. That's awesome.
Thanks, man.
Um, and there's a
It's
couple
cool to
things.
accomplish stuff outside of wrestling too.
Oh, absolutely, man. And a lot of people I don't think realize that you guys have lives outside of wrestling. I think.
Yeah, and it's different for me at this point because it's just per choice as opposed to a necessity. So I actually enjoy what I'm doing for that reason. So it's kind of cool, man.
That's so awesome. That's so awesome. And also, congrats on your recent engagement. I've
Thank
seen that too,
you.
man. That's such an awesome thing too.
She's right here.
But she's right there. That's
She's
awesome.
right over here.
That's awesome. Hi, fiance.
He says hi, fiance.
But also, man, I want to say, I noticed you posted something online recently too, and it's one of the coolest accomplishments that anybody could ever do is your 9 years of sobriety.
Oh man,
which is so awesome, man, because that's a hard thing to do.
It definitely is the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. I can't really think like, I don't know, maybe raising a kid at some point that would top it as harder to do, but getting sober I thought it would be, hey, I'm just done, whatever. But man, what a battle it still is. And it's just cool to now have the strength to be able to share my story, watch it inspire other people and watch them just find happiness. Because a lot of the people that I do speak with, I try my best to stay in touch with them, or I see them at shows. I just caught up with some returning to Limitless this past weekend with people that I've made connections with over the last 4 or 5 years that are now sober, 2, 3, 4, 5 and plus. And it's really cool that we have that connection because it's just deeper than when the bell rings, or it's deeper than JT Dunn. So this is a real life human connection with people. Like I'm connecting on a level that most wrestlers don't care to. And for me, it's still why I'm doing this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's such a cool thing, man. It's really hard for a lot of people. Like, I've actually wanted to stop drinking, and it's hard for me. I've tried, and I go back to it, and I try again, I go back to it. I actually today's going to be my last day of actually drinking, and I'm going to start fresh tomorrow. So
right before the 4th.
Yeah, man. You know what? I feel like if I don't do it, I'm never going to do it. And it's really hard. Like, I noticed today, like today's 6 months without drinking pop. So I'm like, that's rough, But
there we go.
No, man, I just wanted to give a couple congrats on those things. That's such a cool thing. And a big thank you for being on the show, man. This is such an honor.
For sure.
Me, so.
Hey, man, while we're congratulating me, let's congratulate you. What you just talked about, those are accomplishments, man. Well, they're not to be overshadowed. You're setting goals and you're attaining them. Today's your last day, or tomorrow, I'm sorry if that's what you said. But after that, now it's control is in your hands. What you want to do next is completely up to you.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So let's get this show really started, man. So what was your first moment of pro wrestling? Like, what was that first match that you watched that you were like, this is what I'm going to do one day?
Oh, okay. So that changes the question. The first thing I saw in wrestling, I couldn't tell you. One of the first things I do remember seeing ever is the infamous X-Pac moonsault. And then weirdly, I didn't really watch wrestling too much, but I remember watching WCW with an uncle of mine and seeing Six come out. And I was like, wait a minute, I think I know that guy. And I've always just had this connection with X-Pac. But the thing that made me say, like, okay, I'm going to do this. I feel like I talk about this so often, but it wasn't until I saw Punk versus Hero. And that was where I was like, wait a minute. This is really different than what I'm watching on television. And it's super cool because at that time I'm a teen, I'm rebellious, I'm talking, I'm cussing all the time. My dad's not around. So I'm F this, F that. And I'm just a lunatic. And watching it on TV, it's just glorified, but it's condensed to a higher demographic than just my 14-year-old self. So it's derived for kids, it's PG, whereas Punk and Hero, IWA Mid-South, that was anything but PG. So that opened my eyes and then finding like Ring of Honor stuff with Paul London. I just had a buddy who was super into wrestling, and he would just feed me YouTube links when YouTube became a thing. I believe it would have been across MySpace or something like that, or AIM.
Right.
So he was sharing links with me, and I really got it from my buddy Matt. And then I just started binge watching all of it, because at that point I only thought that WWF existed. And I even remember like when I found out that like enhancement talent and everything like that, like these guys wrestled every single day, like they're independent wrestlers, like that blew my damn mind. I thought they just like put up a flyer in a town, who wants to wrestle The Rock today? And like, just here's Brad Stevenson, and he walks in and gets his ass kicked. And I'm like, of course The Rock's gonna kick your ass. Like,
Right.
you work at Lowe's during the week. What the hell? But man, that whole experience just blew my mind. Finding independent wrestling, like it was those matches like Hero Punk, Paul London stuff, where I was just like, okay, maybe not, hey, I want to do this. That might have been a little Macho Man, a little X-Pac, but that's where I believed, like, okay, I can do this. I can definitely do this.
No, dude, Paul London, I tell people all the time, my third favorite wrestler of all time.
Love
Dude
Paul
was
London.
insane.
He's the best.
I've been trying to get him on my show. No luck, but one day maybe.
Paul, hold on. You can clip this. All right, hold on. Paul, this is your son speaking. Do the show, man. Just do the show. All right.
Thanks, JT. But yeah, man, no, dude, him and Brian Kendrick, my favorite tag team of all time. I've talked about
one of my favorite matches is Paul London versus Brian Kendrick SmackDown Beat the Clock Challenge.
Yep.
Bro, come on. I used to send that match to students and stuff like that, or newer people in wrestling looking to just understand different aspects of it. There has never been two wrestlers who wanted to win a match more than in that match. The falsies, the moments, like granted, it's hectic, it's crazy, that's their style, and they do it like poetically. It's just perfectly done. It can only be done that way by them. But man, the will to win, if you're watching this, trust me, watch that match and put that story in your brain. Who wants to win more? That's pro wrestling right there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Did you have any favorites growing up, or were you just like, I love watching
like
all these guys? Yeah. Yeah.
No, hated wrestling. Loved Macho Man and always felt connected to X-Pac. So he was always like, I'm the big wrestling, they'd be like Hulk Hogan, and like X-Pac, like, so me, same thing, like whatever. But yeah, man, I wasn't really super into wrestling growing up. My sister was really into it. She loved John Cena, The Rock, and all that stuff. So I used to have to babysit her so she could stay up and watch it on like UPN 28 because it was past her bedtime. I had to make sure that she went to bed on time, and then I had to get up early and make sure that she was up. That was like her special whatever bonus, got to watch wrestling. So I was suckered into it. But I mean, it's captivating. Like eventually I just found myself watching it, and just like now I'm like hooked. I'm like, okay, like I don't really like it still, but I'm like, damn, I got to see what happens to Edge and Christian next week. Like what?
Right. Right.
And then I just slowly became immersed. Like I remember that I was in like the 9th grade. I was eating like school breakfast with my buddy, and we were both closeted wrestling fans because pro wrestling was not cool in where I grew up.
Right.
And he just asked me randomly at one point. He's just like, "Hey man, did you happen to catch like this WWE pay-per-view? There was like a Hell in a Cell with John Cena." And I was like, no. He asked me earlier, like if I watched wrestling. I said no. And then he brought this up, and I was like, yo, but when Edge came out and cashed in, and both her eyes lit up, and I was like, wait a minute, you like wrestling? I like wrestling. Did we just become best friends? And it was just that's where my fandom unlocked. I was just like, finally somebody to talk to about this stuff. Like I have questions because I don't understand any of it. Like he was just an encyclopedia of knowledge for me early on, and like the initial spark, because then we played football together, so we were best friends, and like we made a pact. If he ever went to go start training for pro wrestling, because we did the backyard wrestling thing together, and of course we were tag team champions. It was our house, we made the rules, brother, just completely running stuff. And then we were like, if we're ever going to do this seriously, we have to do it together. So shout out to Matt Magnum, my man. I'm happy to see that he's back in wrestling now. He's got his life situated, and he's starting to train and take some local bookings here in New England. So hopefully, hopefully he blows up because he deserves.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, it's funny though, because you mentioned that when you first started watching it, you never knew anything outside of WWF existed.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with me, man. So like when I first started watching it, I watched it in 03, and I moved forward in a couple years down the road. Like I was on YouTube and a match popped up, and the first random match that I've ever seen was Shane Hollister was in this match.
Okay.
And like there was something about him that clicked with me. And I was like, dude, there's wrestling outside of WWE, and this guy is here. Like, this is cool. And I actually had the privilege of having him on my show not too long ago.
Awesome.
And that was one of the coolest moments, man, because he opened my eyes to wrestling outside of WWE.
And it's like it's a whole different world. Like, I don't know. So I feel like some people like who already knew, you're never going to understand the feeling that we're talking about right now. Like if you already knew how wrestling operated, like shame on you, boo. But like not knowing, like I can look back now, and because like when you're on the other side, like dude, it's been like 20 years and I'm still experiencing like all this new stuff that's involved in wrestling. I'm like, oh my God, that's crazy. But like if I never would have had that memory of understanding and like, hey, there's this whole new world over here, I'd feel ripped off.
Dude, it's a lot. I mean, there's so many wrestlers. And it's funny because when I do my shows and stuff, like I talk to my friends about it. I'm like, yeah, I got this guy on my show. They're like, is he from WWE? I'm like, no, he's from an indie in the indie scene.
Yeah.
They're like, what's the indie scene? And I'm like, there's like every state has like 60 promotions, and it's like small to like medium. It's insane. Warrior.
We're all trying to put each other out of business.
Warrior Wrestling is a new one that just opened up a couple years ago, and it's got such a big spotlight name to it, which is insane. And it's not even that far from my place, so it's so cool that it's around.
Just drive there. That's the coolest part about it, man. It's accessible.
Oh, absolutely. So a question I've always wanted to ask you, if I ever had the opportunity,
here we go.
Is where did the nickname Juicy come from?
So that came from the football world. That was my first true love and passion. I always thought I was going to play in the NFL. And then life took me down a different path. But the juice, there was a lot of JTs and Johns, like initials in my area. I didn't really don the JT nickname yet. That wasn't really until wrestling started. So they just never knew what to call me. And they were sick of calling me by my jersey number. So they just started calling me Juice. For some reason, they thought I tucked the ball and ran like OJ Simpson. I mean, blessed be the only comparison, but like, I don't know. They didn't have to yell at me, and it felt like I was getting a promotion on the team, kind of like, oh, I got a nickname now. So they just called me Juice. Like, all right, Juice, get in there. So like now, I'm not being like, I don't know. I didn't like the number calling thing. I feel like, man, like learn my goddamn name. Like, right. Come on, man. Just talk to me like we're humans, as opposed to like 81. Go do this service for me. Like that just, I don't know, man. That never sits well with me in my life. Maybe why I'm so stubborn. So getting the nickname was cool. And then I got to pro wrestling, and early on they were like, well, you can't use your real name. And I was like, well, why? Like, why can't I just be me? Which has been the that's like the story of my life. Like, why can't I just be me, bro? Like, why do I have to go do all these? Like, let me just fucking be me. So that was cool because I was just like, all right, man, then I'm the Juice. Like, I have no clue at this time what the hell a Juventud Guerrera is. I have no clue. So like 10 years ago when he tweeted at me and he was all getting on the hot, like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like, no, I was a kid. I don't know who the hell you are. And it's tattooed on my body. So I win. Honestly, that's just tattooed on me because like when I look back at it, it reminds me of just everything I've done during that juice period of my lifetime. Because like I don't use that moniker now. I've outgrown it as a person, as a wrestler. Like it's cool when like OG fans call me Juice like that. I'm like, all right, that means I made a connection. But this is just for me, man. I'm just like, all right, I look at it, cool. Here's all the things I did to get to this part of my life.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. And you don't need that nickname anymore. You're the new knockout kid. You're the savior. You can't go wrong with it, man. And it's funny because I've said that once before. I'm like, JT Dunn, he's the savior. They're like, I thought CM Punk was the savior. And I'm like, nah, JT Dunn is, man, all day. That's why I'm repping the shirt, man.
They used to call Hero the savior in CZW. I think he was for like wrestling savior or something along those lines as well. And a funny little story, when I first had an interaction with Chris, I remember him walking up to me and saying those exact monikers back to me. And he just was like, hey, so you're the new knockout kid, huh? And we weren't friends. We weren't nothing at this time. Yeah, you're the savior of CZW. And then I remember him putting his hand on my like shoulder, like right on my trap, and just like little squeeze. But to me, because of who it was, it felt like he ripped my arm off. And I was just like, he hates me. He absolutely hates me. I was like, I got no chance of wrestling this guy.
That's insane. No, and you guys, dude, you guys had an awesome time together. I mean, it's a shame you guys never got a chance to win the tag titles. It breaks my heart just knowing that. But I was watching All Real Wrestling's podcast with you on it, and you talked about saying never say never, and I hope so, man, because I feel like everybody needs to see JT Dunn and Chris Hero win the tag titles. Doesn't matter the promotion. Just your chemistry together was just it was insane, man. It was awesome.
Yeah, and, it was kind of crazy that it was. I don't want to say effortless, because man, he worked my ass. But it became effortless. Like we just became like what I had watched him do with like Claudio. Like they were just perfect. Like the best tag teams in the world are just perfect together. And that's what makes them special, is they're just in each other's brains. They just know what's next. They know how to fix every situation. Like they're constantly preparing each other for just being the best. And that's kind of what he expected because of who he is by default. And for me, because of who he is and getting me into wrestling and wanting to emulate him. And eventually, like I was actually just talking to a couple of students at a training class the other night. Like that was my first, like, and only goal. Like I never got into wrestling to go to the WWE or like anywhere else. I was just like, okay, I want to wrestle Chris Hero. How the hell does that happen? I'm just kidding. Like every single move I made for the first, like, when did we wrestle? 2014. So like the first 5 years, like the shindy backyard wrestling into the real wrestling part of my life, every decision, I promise you, was made to wrestle Chris. And I literally remember wrestling him and then getting to the back, and I'm just sitting down with my boys and I'm like, genuinely, what the fuck do I do next? Like I have no plan for this. Like I never thought it was going to be a thing. And now it just happened and it went amazing. And I'm like, oh, okay, man. Okay. Where do we go from here?
That's awesome.
I had no clue.
Yeah, no, I loved your guys' team, man. Just the chemistry. It was just something cool to watch. And
it was a lot of fun. It was probably the most fun I've had.
I'm a big fan of tag team wrestling. I love tag team wrestling.
It's my favorite.
Over singles wrestling for sure. You kill it at both, man. You do great either way. So I'm gonna ask you.
My heart is in tag team wrestling though. Like I don't think I've ever really said that out loud. My heart is in tag team wrestling. I love the spectacles. You can just create on like just so many different levels.
Oh, absolutely. So the following question I'm going to ask you here is,
Hit me.
So you were teaming with Dave Yen, which was cool. And you guys now are kind of like, doing your one-on-one matches here and there and stuff like that. What is the difference with teaming with a female wrestler compared to a male wrestler? I mean, what is the dynamic difference?
Nothing. And I think that's what makes me successful in it. I don't change anything, because to me, and I think this has been my whole goal with wrestling Dave Yen at Chaotic, is that initial question already stimulates the brain to separate us. Why are we different? Man and woman, who cares? We're professional wrestlers. And it wasn't until, and we've been doing this story with this partnership, this feud from pre-pandemic all the way till as of I think last week, or actually this past weekend. The whole goal has been for me to feel that moment for her when the crowd at Chaotic and the fans accept her as just one of the best wrestlers. Like that, that's like my ultimate goal, is to prove what I had done years ago when I was doing all the high profile intergender matches. It was just to prove like, hey, they're much better than some of the guys that are on Twitter saying, I'm the best, I can do a 450 and I can wrestle for 148 minutes. Like, that's crazy, man. That's great. Nothing makes sense. And you did a bunch of stuff. Yeah. But here's these girls that are getting no love, no attention. These women, like, why can't we showcase them? So that was a really cool thing I did with Beyond early in my career. And it launched me into a whole nother universe of fans and everything. So I appreciate that. But then with Davey N, we didn't feel this shift in the audience until the last show, where her and I had wrestled each other in Lowell. And we were about like 30 minutes into a title match, and we were into a strike exchange battle. And it was getting to the point where she's never really been to that level of a match. And that's where I love to bring people, whether they realize it or not, that I'm going to do it to them. That's what I do. I bring you to a level where you're fighting for your life against me. I want you to push those long limits in matches, or those high endurance matches where we're going and we're just working. We got to the middle of that strike exchange portion, and I can just feel the audience shift. And I just ended up getting it's stupid, but I ended up getting a big smile on my face, because I'm just like, okay, that's 2.5 years of work that I never thought would pay off as well as this. And now here we are, like right in this important moment, we're here. So man, it's been super cool to see that. I didn't change anything in teaming with her. I even actually took aspects from all my previous teams, which have been all with male partners. And I've just implementing them all, everything that was great about each situation, and I put her in that. Man, she was awesome. She delivered. I mean, I'm going to continue to kick her ass, but I mean, she stepped up to the plate.
Yeah, man. Well, it's funny because I've never, like I said earlier, like it's so hard to keep up with all the wrestling names, and I never knew who she was until a couple months ago when you posted something about you guys going against each other, and I looked her up, and I'm like, she's actually really good, man. She's killing it. And I was really impressed, man. And I'm like, now I see her name a lot of places and stuff, and she deserves it for sure.
That's what hard work gets you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And another thing I seen, and this is something that I always try to create after I seen this picture, was a picture of you and Dominic Dijakovic from NXT, Dijak, and Cody Rhodes. Now, was there something that was supposed to be there as a team, like as like a long running thing, or was it like a one-off, or what was that about?
I would say it was in the workings of something. But I can tell you in full disclosure, it was 100% started as a joke. Okay. That was a very long trip for us in Germany, with a lot of circumstances that were just wild. Some involving wrestling, and some not even involving wrestling, just all three of our lives at the same time. And we were all rooming together for the most part. So honestly, that day, we all just kind of were like, I think it was the last day too of the wrestling part of the tour. We were kind of just like, all right, we've had enough. Like, I just want to have fun. We're wrestling speedball and ACH, if I'm correct. And we just wanted to have like the match that everybody talks about after the weekend's over. Like, the tournament's great. It's awesome. None of us are in it anymore, but we're going to put the stamp on it right now. And in a joking fashion, Cody was just like, hey, I'm just going to put my suit back on after my match and come to the ring with you guys. Not thinking it was serious. And then all of a sudden we're in Gorilla, and he's suited up and he's ready. He's got his paper crinkled up. He's got his glasses on. He's ready to rock. So we're in Gorilla now. I think they were already in the ring. I forget the order of entrances. But then Dijak's music hit. I remember I was pissed because I had to come out of his stupid song. And we come walking out together, and we're like, I'm doing the Scott Hall walk down the aisleway. He's doing the Diesel thing. He's got the leather coat on. We were going for like a Shawn and Diesel thing, but for some reason I can't not do Scott Hall taunts. It's just like, I got to do the walk. I got to do the, hey, Chico. I just like, when I get super hyped, like in real life, I do those taunts. So I remember getting to the stage, and we're right at the ramp. And when we both turned and do the big NWO point, and then Cody just came out doing the strut, and the crowd went nuts. And I was like, man, his agent and like the people in charge of the show are probably pissed that we're giving Cody away for free. Like, we're just bringing him out on the show to be ringside.
That's awesome.
But man, it was incredible though, because it was an experience. Like, I laugh at it still. This was like 5 years ago. It was just so much fun. It was fun to see a guy like him come and have some fun with us, like at
Oh
that
man.
time, because like he's a rock star and we're trying to be rock stars. So it was super cool to be involved in that. We ended up having a banger of a match with those guys, and he got involved and everything. Like the crowd enjoyed it, so it was a perfect cap to the stress that we dealt with that trip.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And I seen that picture, man. And I'm like, every game I try, man, I always try to add both of you guys to it. And I'm like, I always need that taller guy and that dude that's gonna just do crazy shit.
That's my
I'm
perfect
like,
dynamic. It seems like I work best when I'm the smaller, and I got my Dijak, my hero, my killer cross. Like that's
yep.
my groove.
Oh man, yeah, no, I loved it, man. And I was like, I wanted to ask that because I wasn't sure if it was something that
That's a
was
good question.
supposed to
That's cool.
be, but
Yeah, I
um,
mean, there was talks afterwards, but then everything just kind of started going in different directions for us. We all just started being all over the place, and then Cody and I started fighting each other. So
oh yeah, I mean, well, you got Cody with AEW, you got Dijak in WWE.
yep.
Now I know you said earlier that your goal was never to get to WWE, like that's not what you wanted to do. I've seen you have an Impact match before.
Quite a few of those.
Would you go to Impact? Would you go to AEW or NXT? Any of those now?
I would at this point in my career, yes, because I think now I believe in myself more than I ever have. I've always kind of been the guy that everybody compliments, and they're like, "Oh man, you're great, you're this, you're that," and it's very hard for me to like handle that. I can't. Let me try to clear this up. So like for me, I feel like that would mess my mental up. And I've spent 9.5 years fixing my brain to allow me to have control with my sobriety. And this other addiction that I have to like being over, being the best, being like all of these things that aren't real, once I allow them to be real, they take over my brain. And I can't end up like some of the guys that I've seen, because we've watched many talented people let their ego and their brain just tank their career. I finally am able to understand the way people have complimented me over time, and I've been able to accept it. Okay, maybe I am as good as like the best wrestlers in the world are saying, and maybe it's time I take this a little bit more serious.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my mentality right now, where it's like, hey man, maybe wrestling certain guys has always been your goal, but now you can go be the best somewhere where it really counts. And I've never really believed that until the pandemic, man. That's what it took for me to sit here in my thoughts with my fiance, just like living my life, putting the pieces back together. And then I always said like throughout the last year, like, hey man, if wrestling's still there at the end, like whatever. I mean, if it's not, I really don't care. And then I just couldn't get away from it. It's who I am. It's what I want to do. I don't know, man. It's just what I'm the best at, because what I'm best at is in my brain, but
Yeah.
it's the thing I love to do the most. And I never really appreciated it as much as I do now, and appreciated myself. So I think that's been the hardest part, is for me to be like, hey man, you put all this hard work in and you did all this stuff to make these things happen. It's okay to talk about them. Like, it's okay to feel like I've traveled the goddamn world from being homeless. Like that's a huge jump in life. I don't know. So we'll see what happens, I guess.
Yeah, man. I mean, you deserve it. In a match I would love to see is you and Adam Cole in NXT. I think that'd
I'd
be.
beat his ass.
Oh, dude, absolutely. Absolutely. NXT
we were
needs your
supposed
saving,
to wrestle
bro.
one time. We were supposed to wrestle one time in Providence, and unfortunately, there was gun violence at the arena before the show, so the show ended up being canceled. But man, I've never had that match, and it's irked me. Like, there's certain guys that have gotten away from me where it's part of my motivation now. Like when I'm working out in the gym and I'm looking in the mirror, I don't see me. I see those guys that I think duck me. I'm going to get my match. I'll go to every single promotion I have to. I'm going to
We'll
get my
get you
matches.
there. We're gonna get you there, bro. We got you. NXT needs some saving, man, from the new knockout kid. Let's do it. But yeah, I mean, so I'm gonna ask you, how humbling is it for you to know that everybody thinks of JT Dunn as one of the top performers on the indie scene now compared to when he first started?
Well, definitely a huge difference. Everybody hated me before. I hated me looking back. I'm just like, man, I can't believe that I was like that and I didn't get punched in the mouth more. man, it's just cool. Like, uh, I guess my ultimate goal in getting to like to wrestle Chris, like I just always wanted to be one of the best. Like I never wanted to just be handed anything. I still don't. I love the work part of it, like because that's what's gonna when it's my time, I'm gonna be so perfect that they're gonna be like, damn, why didn't I call this guy 10 years ago? Like I wasn't ready then. I'm definitely the best version of me right now. But man, I love information. I love knowledge. That's why I love wrestling the best wrestlers, because I like forming that bond with them where they teach you the secrets of pro wrestling. Like,
Right.
man,
Right.
who doesn't want to have that information? And then now I love being able to give that back to people and watch talented wrestlers become great wrestlers, like Christian going to NXT, Carmelo Hayes, and just being a superstar, man. Like the day I saw him, I was like, man, you're going to be great. Like there's information you need. And once you know how to process it, you're going to be unstoppable. Here
Oh
we
yeah.
are.
He's on a whole
So it's
nother
cool.
level.
Oh yeah, you don't even know what you have with him. You have it. You have the man. I don't know if I've advocated for anybody harder than Christian in the last couple of years. Like that's my dude. And I'm just happy as hell. But it's cool to like to have those feelings and to be able to have helped in any single way, or even like not even to be able to help them, but for them to acknowledge like, hey, I'm gonna go to JT and he's gonna be able to fix all these things that I can't fix by myself. I love being that guy. I have so many people coming to me now, especially now that I'm back active, very active in the area. There's so many new people that are coming up to me asking for help and training and all this stuff. And bro, that's so cool to me, because it's like, who the hell am I? And I'm just constantly flooded with more people looking for information. It's like, this is why I sat in cars for 10 hours with the best wrestlers to asking questions. So now I can pay that to somebody, pay it forward to somebody else, the right people, of course. But man, that's really cool for me right now. Like I like being who I am. I like this JT Dunn.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's really cool because me personally, I never knew who Danny Miles was. I didn't know who
The
Trigger the
best,
OG was.
the
Um,
best.
and now that you have the unit, I see them and I'm like, okay, I could get behind these guys. And like you got Ace Romero behind you now too.
Yeah.
And I remember watching your guys' matches against each other and stuff too. And I'm like, dude, this is awesome. Chemistry between you guys. Ace Romero, dude, he kills it too.
So
Such a talented performer.
what's unique about the unit, this was actually something I started doing 2.5 years ago. My buddy Rich and I ended up going into an endeavor where we started a promotion in Providence called What Wrestling, with the basis being Wrestling Has It Tomorrow, the acronym. So I don't know what just happened. Am I still here for you?
You're still here, man.
All
You're
right.
still here.
I've never seen my computer do that. So the basis being utilizing talent that you're unfamiliar with that we know are great, and I used myself as like the measuring stick, and that was the first part of me trying to accept that I had this talent that everybody was talking about. It was like, okay, who are guys that I've wrestled from this area, from New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, around the world that aren't getting the love, and let's bring them to Providence, a place where I know how to create this atmosphere, I know how to create a pro wrestling environment, and I'm just going to give them freedom. Like, we're going to bring them in here. We're going to put them against guys that they have no effing clue who they are. And I'm going to look at it from the mentality of like, accentuate the positives, hide the negatives. So what this guy's great at, and this guy's great at hiding, they're going to wrestle each other because he's great in the opposite direction. And that's how every single match was booked. I've been around wrestling enough where wrestling is not always booked for success. I've been there on the best shows in the world where a promoter still looks at the card and goes, this match right here, this one could probably be shit. Thank God they only got 8 minutes. Who the hell is going to invest money in that if that's your mentality, putting the match to paper? And what an insult to the talent. Like, why not find a situation to better let them shine? Like, or just be like, hey man, I don't have a situation where you look good tonight. No matter what it is, I can't use you. So the whole What Wrestling thing was like, okay, I'm just going to let people shine. The entire show is about shining up the best wrestlers against guys that you never heard of. So the matches were weird and wonky and creative, and like it just took off, man. And it was so cool to watch so many of these guys start shining. Like we ended up using like Brody King. We had Emma's Atino's first appearance from second appearance from WWE. Had her wrestle Rachel Ellering, where Lance Storm's the referee. Like just all of these things you would never expect to happen. And then that's where Danny Miles and Bear Bronson started shining. We put them in a feud together because I knew what they could bring out of each other. And literally what I saw is what is happening in wrestling right now is who they are in 2 years ago. They just never had the continual freedom to grow into that role. But shout out to them, because their match actually just hit over 1 million views on the What Wrestling YouTube channel. So congratulations, as us egotistical indie wrestlers say, welcome to the Millie Club. So I'm proud of my boys. But the unit thing started there, and it was for me to piece together the people that I trusted the most, because I'm going to give them my fan base, my creativity, my undevoted attention, to get them into a position to start making money and to succeed, and for everybody in the world to know who they are. So I was in a major feud with Dan Moff, so we kind of started correlating around that, and now give myself a contract where I can wrestle the champion whenever I wanted to. The champion became Casey Navarro. So now it was me being the big bully, and I surrounded myself with my best friends, so it looked like inevitably there was no way I wasn't taking the championship. And Danny was the first guy that I brought in and had him join with me. And then I brought in Brad Hollister in the first incarnation of the unit to be the muscle contradiction or counterpart to Dan Moff. And then obviously the pandemic happened, so nothing really grew too much. We were only a few shows into doing it, so we never really got to run wild. And then when I started to come back to wrestling, I thought, man, I'm only doing this if I'm having fun. Some of that other stuff for me wasn't fun.
Yeah.
I need more control. I need more, hey, less of somebody who's never done anything telling me what to do and forcing me into situations over money. I wanted to create for me and my friends. So Chaotic Wrestling was the best place for me to go and get myself back in shape mentally and physically, get a couple of match reps under my belt with people who know what they're doing. And then I just weirdly fell into a groove, which is kind of how it goes, I guess. And I just started wrestling all of these students, and I got motivated. And then all of a sudden I'm in better shape. And then this feud with Davey starts taking off. And it's just like, okay, this is the perfect time in my life to bring my friends together. All people who outside of wrestling that are in the unit now, we've been there for each other in our real lives. Like, I'm talking the real stuff, the battles with addiction, depression, anxiety, self-doubt, relationships, like anything. Like, you think about the person you text immediately when something like that happens. And for me, that's the OG, that's Danny, and that's Ace. And there's other people outside of that, but my circle's very small. And then, so I started thinking, hey man, we're so connected in real life. There's no way that what we do in wrestling can't be seen as real, because that's all it could be, is real. I really feel these things. I'm the most comfortable around these guys. So my promos have gotten better, and their promos have gotten better. Our matches are better because we hold ourselves accountable. Like, if one of us has a bad match, I'm a real life mean person in that sense, where I will walk in the locker room. I don't care who. I'm like, that was awful. Like, let's reevaluate what just happened. Like, and I don't mean it to be like, oh, you suck, bro, I'm better than you. I mean it, and they do it to me.
It's
I
a
love when
coaching
people
thing.
do that to me. Exactly. It's like, okay, we're in the moment, we're fresh. Let's think about it. Let's think about how we could have done it, explore our options, and see how we can be better. I do it for myself after every single match. I ask every person that I wrestle, ever since the day I started wrestling, to sit down with me afterwards. Like, I might be a nuisance, it might be annoying, you might not like doing it right after the match or whatever in that time frame, but it's business that needs to get done. And that's the thing that separates good and bad talent. Like, I want to be great, so this is what people do. Like, you leave a football field, you go right in the locker room, you watch film. Like, what happened? Like, when your brain's already stimulated, now the next time you're going to be 10 times better. So that's kind of what we do for each other, man. And it's been really cool to watch this start branching into different promotions. And like, I don't know, man, I just feel we're all so motivated. This has just
I love it, man.
lit a fire under our ass. Like, even right now talking, I'm like getting fired up. I want to start elbowing stuff.
Oh, absolutely, man. Just discus elbows. Nah, absolutely. So no, you were just talking about promos and stuff too. Your promos getting better and all that. On the indies, do you guys write your own promos, or do you have like writers do it for you guys?
I don't let anybody write for me. I like ideas, bullet points, guidelines, or just be like, hey, here's the story I need you to tell. I pride myself in, sometimes we get a little silly in the unit promos and we got to do like a second or third take. But anybody who knows me knows my promos are done in one take. And that's looking down at the ground. We're live, 3, 2, 1. I look up, one take, that's it. I know that sounds really crazy, but I get the real emotion out like right away. Like it's like I've been joking around with everybody and saying I'm doing this method acting thing as JT Dunn now, where I'm just like, people legit see me in the locker room and I'm just like shut off. I'll just be like standing there for 10 minutes like, and then I open my eyes and I'm like a new person. And like now JT Dunn's awakened. So that's what I do for my promos. Like I've just always, I don't know. I think I speak very well, and I just try to now pace myself better. I try to articulate words in a way that maybe they're unfamiliar with, because the JT did on the promos before, like I talked like that on purpose. Like I purposely was cussing and acting that because that's how that guy was acting.
Yeah.
But I'm more me than I've ever been, and this is just my natural conversation voice. And so I'm trying to use that a little bit more, and just, I mean, I'm educated, so I try to just speak well, like that way, like, yeah, I don't know, my message is clear. And it weirdly has made me feel like a cult leader with the unit, like in a certain way, because it just comes off so just straight across the point. But man, that's just me. I'm just mellow. I'm just smooth.
Well, hey man, you're telling everybody to take the pledge. You know,
take the pledge, man.
So when I was watching All Real Wrestling podcast that you were on, you cut a promo on both Danny Garcia and Danny Limelight, and I was like, dude, this is fire. Like, this is awesome. I tweeted at you and Davey Richards not too long ago and said that you guys are both my two favorites on the indie scene. If you were to cut a promo on Davey Richards right now, what would you say?
Oh, on Davey Richards. Okay. I can tell you what sticks out.
I want to clip
this.
Yeah.
I can tell you. I can tell you what sticks out in my brain about Davey Richards. Early on in my wrestling career, when I found independent wrestling, I found Evolve Wrestling. When wrestling really mattered, when it was about who's the best, whose endurance was the greatest, who was the best striker, who was the best technical wrestler, and a lot of people just continuously pointed at Davey Richards. Until it came to the point where Davey Richards needed to step up to the plate and accept that he was one of the best. And as opposed to doing that, he ran away. In your absence, Davey Richards, many other wrestlers have come and gone and claimed to be the best. I am the best. I'm the challenge you've been waiting all these years for. You don't realize it yet, but JT Dunn is the reason why Davey Richards came back to wrestling. And unfortunately, Davey, when we step in the ring, my friend, I'm going to be the reason why you leave pro wrestling again. I'll see you very soon. Davey Richards, you're officially on the clock.
Damn, that was fire, dude. I like it. That was awesome. I got chills, bro. Like that was fucking awesome. I was like, dude,
one take, baby. One take. That's it.
Ooh, man, I got chills. That's insane. Yeah, man. Your promo skills.
Never wrestled Davey either. We've never wrestled.
Oh, dude, that'd be a match I would love to see.
We've shared many locker rooms, and I've been there for the good, bad, the indifferent, and I cut my promo out of respect. So before all the Twitter haters come for me, first of all, that's for you, and second of all, I respect that man. Like I remember him hustling all of those years in front of 20 people. I know what that's like. Now I just want to see what he still has left in the tank. I need to test myself. I want to wrestle the best.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's it, man. Plain and simple.
Well, I know when I clip that and I post that, people are going to be like, fuck this guy.
Hey, man, step up.
Yeah.
I'm not hard to find, man. Same thing I've
Absolutely.
been telling Shane Taylor on Twitter. I ain't hard to find, bro. You want to run
Oh
your mouth?
shit.
I'll slap a shove for you.
We got the unit versus Shane Taylor promotions coming up, you know. So
Don't worry, Shane. Shane, don't worry. I got my video crew working on something real special for your ass. Don't worry. Hopefully, Ring of
oh
Honor don't
shit.
get you in trouble.
Oh shit. That's awesome. A couple last questions I'm gonna throw your way.
Hit me.
Being one of Lio Rush's last matches since his announcement of retiring, how does that feel for you, knowing that you were one of the
So
last?
that was kind of a crazy situation. We don't need to go into too many details, but I had stopped working for the XWA after pretty much putting them on my back and just doing everything I could to link my brand with theirs. And separation was needed. Conversations were had. And unfortunately, one of the wrestlers on the show, Kylon, ended up getting sick or hurt. Sorry, I'm confused with which one it was. And he couldn't make the event anymore. And perfect storm, 2 days before that, I had just sat down with the owner, Mike, and we had some conversations and alleviated a lot of the tension. And then he just ended up calling me and he was like, hey, can you be here Thursday night? I need you for something. Sure, man, I'm there. I had no clue what was going on, and we have that kind of a relationship where we shoot on each other a lot for the best results. Not to be mean, but we know it's gonna go well. So then I found out I was in the options for running a match with Leo. I said, awesome. I love wrestling Leo. There's one match that we've had that is very near and dear to me because it broke me out of a big funk that I was in. We wrestled at PWX down in North Carolina a couple of years back before he went to the WWE. And I love wrestling Leo and people like him because they're like me in the way where they will give you everything they have in their body to make you look incredible. And that's a skill. You have to be a very special type of talent to be able to do whatever you want with your body, knowing beforehand how you're going to do it, explain it, and then go and do it. And I believe Leo and I are two of the best at doing that. And in that match, man, he gave me everything. He made me look incredible. And not many people do that for me. I'm always doing it for them. So getting the chance to run it back now, he has more experience. I have more experience. It was supposed to happen for a reason. There was a reason why we wrestled. The match was amazing. I haven't stopped since. Like, that match reinvigorated me again, and now I just feel super motivated. Whether that's working out at work, I'm just on the go, and that feels great. And that's because of wrestling Leo. That 100%, that environment, that feeling, that match. Unfortunately, what had happened to him afterwards makes the match a little bit more special, with it being, I believe, his last singles match ever to date. So, I mean, I wish him the best in whatever he's going to do afterwards. He's incredible. So, I mean, he's going to make money, man. Like,
oh yeah,
he's going to make money. He's going to be happy. And if he ever comes back to wrestling, hey, man, hopefully I'm still here for it.
Dude was truly one of a kind. One of a kind.
I agree.
You know, it's a shame that happens, but you guys put your bodies on the line, man, and you guys do it to entertain us as fans. And it's, you know, I hate people that say pro wrestling's fake, because it's the farthest thing from it. That shit
they just
pisses
don't
me
understand,
off.
man. They're still on the other side where we were when we thought it was only the WWF. That's all.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I tried out for pro wrestling before. I know it's real. It's I tough. Actually I did backyard wrestling a little bit too, a long time ago, back in high school.
What was your backyard wrestling name?
Calumet Wrestling Alliance. I grew up in Calumet City.
Your name.
Oh, so it was going to be the same name from my backyard wrestling to when I actually was going to do it. It was the Rocket Paul Matthews.
Oh, okay, that's a cool name though.
So I did Paul.
That's way better than me and all my friends.
Oh yeah. So I told Jackson Stone this story the other day when I did a show with him. When I did Paul, it was because of Paul London, obviously. Like, Paul London is such a huge inspiration for me for wrestling. And, you know, obviously Shawn Michaels, Rob Van Dam, my two favorites all time, you know, and everybody's like, well, who's your third? Paul London, hands down, Paul London. And I was like, that's why I'm going to choose Paul. And I chose my confirmation name, because I grew up Catholic, as Paul. And it was not because of Paul London, not because of St. Paul, but the monkey after Jimmy Neutron that popped up and said, "Hi, I'm Paul." I was
Okay.
like, all right, I had to, man. I was stupid. I was a stupid kid, but
Signs are all there, man.
and then I chose Matthews because my first name is Matthew. So I was like, all right, cool.
Yep. Makes
Um,
sense.
I had this whole direction, man. I was gonna be from Atlanta, Georgia. I was gonna have an AJ Styles accent.
Okay.
I was gonna run to the ring, Paul London style. Like, dude, I was so
Get
ready,
blown
man.
up real fast.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Like, but dude,
Which is like another credit to him. Like he used to run to the ring full speed and then wrestle for 10 minutes at that speed. Like,
oh, you got to forget. You can't forget. He ran to the ring, jumped on the apron,
oh,
backflipped, and
did a
then
moonsault.
wrestled.
Yep. And then
uh,
wrestled.
dude, he impressed the shit out of me all the time, all the time. Like that Gene Snitsky clothesline that he took and did that front
Oh,
flip
yeah.
or shooting star off the apron. Like, dude, that's one of the things that still highlights till today. Like, it's insane.
I want to put Paul in that same category that we were talking about before, like with Leo. I wrestled Paul now like a billion times, and they've all been incredible. But he's another person. He was actually the guy who like I started understanding selling through him. I didn't really get it. And then I started watching more of his stuff. And then I started understanding the elements to it. But he was a guy when I wrestled him. And by the end, we got to the back and we were both like drenched in sweat. I had my long hair. So we're just, our hair soaked, our body soaked. We have like 84 abs between the two of us. Like we just worked. And I just looked at him and I'm like, man, this guy is like famous. And he just wrestled me as hard as I wrestled him. Like nobody does that for me. Wow. We were just connected. And I was just like, there was a reason why we were supposed to wrestle today. Like we're supposed to be best friends. And like, I've got to do so many cool things with Paul and I've learned so much from him. Like if you are anywhere near Paul London at any show, any signing, whatever he's doing, ask him a question. Like I promise you, whatever the answer is, you're going to love it and you're going to learn from it. Like top 5 dead or alive.
Oh, that's
Paul London.
dude. It's a dream come true. It would be a dream come true to have him on my show, to just even get a follow from him on Twitter. I would love it, dude, because honestly, like I said, dude, fantastic performer. I get chills just talking about him sometimes because it's just, he inspired me. I remember the first moment I seen him when he was in the locker room with Vince and Brock Lesnar and shit, like that match. And I'm like, dude, this dude has guts, man, going against a beast like Lesnar. Yep. And then all the shit I heard about him from Ring of Honor, stuff like that, I'm like, this dude's insane. And then when he went back to Ring of Honor for a couple matches or whatever, like less than a decade ago, I want to say, he, I remember everybody's chanting, "Don't die, London!" Like, dude's incredible. Like,
but what it is, it's the emotional connection. I don't care who you are, what you look like, where you're from, what you enjoy, what you hate. You saw Paul London and you just like, stopped everything you're doing. I have to watch this.
Yep.
Whatever, you didn't even know what was about to happen. Phones weren't really a huge thing at that point, but I mean, whatever you would be doing, you're just like, all right, I'm just going to watch Paul now. And you just watch him come to the ring, especially in those last few Ring of Honor matches. Like they're just there for Paul. Like they just want to see Paul do Paul things, land on his neck, give somebody the best match of their life. Like just be this character, this essence. Like, man, Paul London is just a vibe.
Well, I'll tell you what, if Paul London would have took the same shooting star press bump that Matt Sydal did when he debuted in AEW, people would not have given Paul London shit like they gave Matt Sydal. I'll tell you that much, because
shit happens, man. Like
it does.
Fuck over it.
It does, and that, like, I'm like, now
I fell over a set of stairs a couple of weeks ago. That just happened, man. I'm just, whatever.
Well, thank God nobody saw that, because they would have posted that shit.
I did a snow angel, so I saved it.
Oh, there you go. So 2 final questions, man. Everybody I know that everybody I've talked to either has a cool hobby or something that they collect. I'm going to do this as a new thing on my show. Is there something you collect that's cool or unique or anything like that? Or is there something like a cool hobby you do?
Man, I don't really think I don't really collect things. I mean, I used to collect like the pop figures for a while. Now they're collecting dust. I play video games, man. That's my thing.
What's your go-to video game?
Right now, Call of Duty. I'm definitely a Warzone guy. I do like the rebirth mode on there, but like majority of my buddies play Call of Duty. And it used to be super Fortnite, man. Every day, all day, like we were just hooked on it, especially when I was still streaming. Madden, that'll always be one for me. Me and a bunch of my buddies got like Madden leagues. I'm in like 9 different leagues. Like we all have our player games throughout the year, bet money on the Super Bowl winners and all that stuff. So that's a good one. I'm trying to think, man. And then I play like randomly Apex, NBA. I like the NBA, the 2K games. Yeah, that's really about it, man, right now.
That's cool. Are you an Xbox or PlayStation guy?
PlayStation for life.
PlayStation for life. That's what's up.
For life.
That's
baby.
what's up. Well, I could say you're a belt
maybe
collector
PC,
now too.
maybe down the line PC. But I'm definitely going to be a guy who wants to like build his own thing and like I don't know. It's got to look sick. But I love my PlayStation.
Yeah, I could call you a belt collector now too. You got a couple titles going on, so
couple of them.
We'll get more around there soon for sure. So last question, man. What can we expect from the rest of 2021 from JT Dunn?
Fireworks. Man, I think that by the end of this year, I will have produced, and I don't even know what's going to happen yet. Like, I still have no clue. I think I'm going to produce the best year of my career. No doubt about that. I think when you're watching me going forward, don't compare me to anybody. I'm sick of that. I'm so sick of people being like, oh, but you didn't wrestle like this guy, or you don't do it. Man, I'm different. I'm built way different than all these other people. I'm built for longevity. I'm a storyteller. That's my art. I'm creatively a genius. And I think I'm showcasing that more now than ever. And what's cool is I'm able to help other matches on the shows and in a bigger effect than previously. And I'm able to create for them and allowing them a platform to have a bigger experience. And that plus my own matches, to me, hitting on a different level, man, that's just got me motivated. So I think by the end of the year, you're going to see me put an exclamation point after my name. So when they talk about me, they continue to talk about me amongst the best. I don't think, and I did this on a recent interview, and I'll do it here for you and for the fans that are going to check this out. One question, and I give you 15 seconds to answer it. Right. So when you're watching, you can tweet it at me as you think of whatever floats your boat. Name a bad JT Dunn match.
Can't. Not at all. You just progressively get better, dude.
I hate to be that guy, but there's nobody in wrestling. And trust me, I've wrestled everybody. There's nobody in wrestling who tries as hard as I do. When that bell rings, they don't make them like me. There's a few people who I haven't wrestled yet, so I know they perform on like a higher level, but I need to be in there with them so I can understand what's missing, or maybe we're the same and we just don't know it yet. But guys like, and I put it out in the air so it happens. The universe, guys like Omega, AJ Styles, the ones who got away from me, man, they just create in a way that you don't even understand. And I think by the end of this year, that's my goal, is them to, like, people to understand that I'm creating and I'm performing and earning to that level. So that's where I'll be by the end of the year.
That's awesome, man.
Whatever shooting your shot is, brother. And dust settles. It spells out Kenny Omega.
I love it, man. That's awesome.
And Davey Richards, you bitch.
We're getting it, man. We're getting it. Really quick, you asked me what my backyard wrestling name was. What was yours?
Oh, all right. So I didn't pick this, but you know this. I forget who sings it because I'm a jerk. But it was like click, click, boom. Who sings that song? Do you know? Click, click, boom. All right. Well, I'm getting roasted for this part. But that was, my buddy gave me that for my backyard wrestling theme song. So he was like, well, your name's Johnny, and things that go boom are dynamite. Oh, there you go. You're Johnny Dynamite. And I was like, all right, whatever, man. Like, that's me.
I like it, man. That's it's different for sure.
And don't worry, you can't YouTube me. I deleted all the videos. So They don't exist.
All
no
mine
more.
are deleted too, so I get it.
We actually had like hard copies of our backyard wrestling tapes, and I believe they just ended up like catching fire or something, and or he burned them or whatever. But our plan was to release them, and we signed our $1 million contracts and just put them online, or whatever was the online source at that time. We were like, we're going to save these and just upload our backyard wrestling videos and just be like, hey, this is what we got here on a mattress and all that good stuff.
That's awesome. Did you guys have like a ring and stuff too, or did you guys do a trampoline?
Oh, no ring. Hell no, bro. I was taking bumps on the ground. That's why wrestling in a ring for me is so easy now. I was taking superplexes out of a tree. Like, what the fuck?
That's crazy.
Because I had no clue. I was like, this is what they do.
Yeah.
Give me a hurricane rana out of the tree.
You're still doing it. So, I mean, at least you didn't get too
now
hurt.
Just way smarter now.
Right. Man, JT, it's been so fun having you on the show, man.
I appreciate it, man.
Like I said, this has been one of the coolest moments of my life. You're honestly, like I said, one of my big high favorites. I can't even say words anymore. You're one of my favorites, man. You're absolutely
I appreciate
fantastic. That. So, guys, this has been a fun show. JT, you want to tell them where they can find you at?
Yeah, man. Every social media that exists, I guess, at the JT Dunn. And if you're feeling spicy, we are messing with the new unit social media accounts at this is the unit _ Go ahead and toss a follow over there. We're going to just be continuously sharing the content that involves all of us. So who knows how good that's going to go. But I am very active on my social medias, or at least I try to be. And I guess I kind of throw this in at the end of everything. Listen, man, and this is on the real side of everything. This is the mental health. This is the addiction battles, all that stuff. I'm accessible. If you need to have a conversation, if you feel like you're in a rough spot, and maybe you don't know if there's a specific person you can talk to, start that conversation with me and I'll point you in the right direction if I can't help you. I think that you need to understand that everybody does care. You truly do matter. And when you're stuck in that situation, man, don't choose the darkness. The light's right there. You just let somebody help you. Will guide you where you got to go.
Thank you for those words of encouragement, JT. It's awesome, man.
Appreciate it, man.
It's been awesome, man. Thank you so much for doing
Likewise,
this.
Man, it's been a pleasure, man. I appreciate the different questions than I usually get.
I tried, man. I tried to spin them a little bit. But till next time, guys, this has been a pro wrestling podcast with Matt and friends. Hope you guys enjoyed the show.